Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate the support. Wherever you guys are right now, I implore you to release all the tension from your shoulders and put your feet flat on the ground so you can really ground yourself while you're listening to this video or doing anything really. Because I really noticed that a lot of us are holding so much tension in our shoulders and a lot of tension in our legs because we're not actually grounding ourselves properly. So let's start with that first. And then I wanted to speak to you in this video about intuition. I've told you in 3 or 4 other videos that I've done before. If you haven't watched them, please do go watch them, especially if you are someone who identifies as a woman. That I've been tracking my cycle, my menstrual cycle, and I've been really kind of going along with it instead of going against it. You know, not trying to force myself to do things that are not in sync with my cycle. For example, in certain parts of your cycle, there is a need for extra rest. There's a need for extra healing and extra quiet and peace and rejuvenation and self-care. But a lot of times as an ambitious female in this world, what we do is we kind of push through it. We pretend like we don't need rest. We pretend like we don't need to recuperate or rejuvenate ourselves or take care of ourselves. We give and give and give and burn ourselves out in the process. But we imagine that that's just the role of a woman here. We're supposed to be doing that. You know, we're not supposed to take rest for ourselves. We're just supposed to go, 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 go. And especially, you know, a lot of women I'm sure out there are balancing family. They're taking care of kids. They're taking care of their house. They're taking care of their work outside the house. You know, they're doing all the household chores. And so obviously self-care in that regard becomes more and more difficult. But as I said, there are certain parts of your cycle that require an extra time of rest, an extra bit of rest. And so I'm noticing, as I said, instead of pushing through that part of my cycle by drinking caffeine or by just pushing myself and saying, oh, I'm just being lazy or I'm just a good for nothing, I should push myself harder, I actually am taking the time to say, okay, it is that part of the time, that part of the cycle again. Let's take a little bit of a break. Let's relax. Let's rest. Let's rejuvenate. Let's take a deep breath, right? And so when I noticed that I did that, and usually that part of the cycle is right before your period and during your period, obviously. A lot of people are able to take time off during their period because, you know, you're in pain and you're like dying and you're like, in cramp mode and PMSing, mood swings and cravings. So you're able to do that during your period, but right before your period as well, 4 or 5 days before, is also a period of rest, rejuvenation, slowing down, calming down, not pushing yourself so hard, not hustling so hard, right? And so this time around, as I said, I really took that time and I rested and I went for long walks in nature, quiet, slow, long walks. And I journaled and I kind of listened to myself as much as possible. And my intuition, and again, your intuition pipes up more not only during your period, but right before your period as well. And I noticed my intuition was just on point. It was as if I literally felt like my intuition was sitting on my shoulder having a conversation with me. And I've never had such a strong, direct conversation with my intuition before. It was usually I get messages from my intuition, obviously, because it's quite powerful, but it comes as if it's coming from far away. And it's a little bit garbled and it's staticky, and I have to really sit and interpret it, or you know, sit with it and understand what the meaning is. It's never as clear as this is what you're supposed to do, right? But this time around, my intuition literally was like sitting there and saying, this is exactly what you're supposed to do. That's the path to go. That's where you should do it. That's what you should do, etc. Like it was as if she was just writing a letter to me. And it was just surprising to me because it was obviously because of the work that I did on the cycle tracking and syncing myself with the cycle and with the menstruation hormonal cycles. But also it was because I really slowed down and I really listened to it. And also I wasn't doubting. I wasn't in doubt mode, right? Because normally I'd get tired and I get into this phase of my cycle where I'm like a little bit slower and I start doubting myself. I would say, oh my God, I'm so lazy, or oh wow, what is wrong with me? Everyone else can just keep on going on and on like an Energizer bunny. Why do I have to take a rest? Why do I have to slow down, right? And I would call myself names like, oh, you're so weak and you're so pathetic and you know, things like that. And this time I didn't do that. This time I was like, oh right, okay, it's time for me to rest. That's it. no doubt, no anxiety, no nonsense, no derogatory comments towards myself, no aberration, nothing, right? So I was able to move into a phase of really being able to trust my body, which is something that a lot of women have trouble with. And I was able to sit with it and sit with my intuition. And obviously my intuition's like, oh, right, okay, so she's actually listening to me this time. Okay, cool, I'm gonna talk. And so she spoke and I listened, and she spoke and I listened, and she spoke a bit more and I listened. And I just obviously just took all of it in. I was standing actually when she first started speaking. I was actually on my walk and I was just standing there kind of looking at a leaf that was a little bit different. And I was like, oh, this is a pretty leaf. And I'm kind of like rubbing it between my fingers. And all of a sudden, like I hear that voice, that intuitive voice in my head. And I'm like, oh, right, she's speaking up. And so I slow down, I stand up, I stop doing anything, I just sit and listen to her. And she tells me something like, you are on the right path. And that was literally how strong it was. You're on the right path. It started raining. Ah, that's so nice. I love rain. Oh, it's raining really hard. Ah. So she started saying things like, I'm gonna have to move. Oh no. I'm gonna keep on talking, guys. So she started saying things like, perfect. I hope this is okay, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. So she started saying things like, you're on the right path, you're on the right track, you have nothing to worry about, keep on going. No need for any doubt, no need for any anxiety. It's perfect. You're exactly in the right zone, in the right moment. You have nothing to worry about. Like, she just kept on saying these words to me over and over and over and over and over again. And it was kind of surprising to me how soothing those words were. It was kind of surprising to me how it was literally like a balm to my soul. It was like I didn't even know that I needed to hear those words, but as soon as I heard them, it was as if everything just kind of fell into place. I didn't even know I was carrying tension or in my heart and my soul, but all of a sudden it just kind of like I felt this sense of relief and release and just absolute relaxation in that moment. It was as if, oh, right, okay, so cool. I mean, I'm nothing to worry about. Everything's okay. I'm on the right path. I'm going exactly in the direction where I'm supposed to be going. Now, in general, I trust that I'm on the right path. In general, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm doing okay. I'm going in the right direction. I'm fine. I'll kind of like keep on telling myself that. And usually I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm good. I'm okay. But sometimes I do have these, obviously, as all of us do, but particularly, obviously, it comes up during my menstrual cycle and before it, where I have this moment of, oh my God, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Is it okay that I'm doing this kind of stuff? Is it all right for me to be on this path? Am I making a difference? Am I doing the right thing? Should I do something different? Should I change my goals? All that stuff comes up, and this is normal because I think that's what the purpose of our menstrual cycle is to kind of make us recalibrate ourselves if we are on the wrong path, and to remind us to keep on asking that question, because you don't ever want to get complacent. You don't ever want to be like, oh, right, okay, I'm just going to keep on going on this path without ever questioning it, without ever thinking about it, without ever anything, right? I'm not just going to keep on going without thinking about it. Can you guys hear it? Oh my God, it's raining. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Maybe not. Anyways, so as I was saying, I wanted to make sure that I told you guys about this because I think that's one of the powers of our menstrual cycle. I think that is why we have these menstrual cycles. Oh my gosh. I wanted to complete the other video And so, as I was saying, that is the role, a big role of our period, of our menstrual cycle. The reason why we go through these ups and downs, the reason we have these hormonal fluctuations, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it kind of teaches us to live in sync with nature. It teaches us to live in sync with our bodies, and in turn with our intuition. Unfortunately, what happens in modern day society is that a lot of women are taught to be more masculine. They're taught to run away from their femininity. They're taught to run away from their intuitive powers. They're taught to run away from their cycles, to push it away, to not think about it, to pretend like it doesn't exist, to pretend like we're a man in a woman's body, right? Unfortunately, a lot of that pushing away, a lot of that running away, a lot of that not living according to our cycles, not living according to our hormones, not living according to our body's needs, and not trusting it, not trusting what it needs, and not giving it what it needs. All of that results in a lack of sync and a lack of communication between us and our periods, and in turn our intuition, which is why a lot of women kind of lose their intuitive power as time goes on, because we're not actually paying attention to what it's saying. We're kind of, as I said, pushing it away, running away from it. And a lot of our intuition, you guys know already, a lot of intuition actually comes from the body. It doesn't actually come from here. We think that it comes from here, but our minds are just a thinking machine. It's not really giving us our intuition. Our intuition comes from our body. It comes from our heart, comes from our gut, comes from our reproductive organs. I don't want to use a word for it so this video doesn't get censored, but it comes from our bodies. And so I'm really noticing, as I said, the more in sync I am with my cycle, the more I kind of pay attention to it, the more I notice that my intuition pipes up more. And I wanted to share this story with you because this is actually a side benefit of cycle tracking that I did not expect. And so obviously I want to keep on sharing these juicy tidbits with you because I want to encourage you, and really encourage and motivate you to start cycle tracking and to really start paying attention to your cycle, start to learn to love your cycle and to love your body in turn, and thus to love and trust everything that happens that is womanly about you, whatever you are, whoever you are, and however you identify as a woman. So I hope that makes sense. I hope I was able to explain myself to you. I apologize. Hopefully it wasn't that interruptive or any disruptive, like, going from here to there and all that. The rain was pretty nice. It's not raining anymore, but it's still beautiful outside. If you have any questions about this, please message me by contacting me or comment below, and I shall do a follow-up video. Again, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.